but we found a way to win. Woo.
We just witnessed a revenge game occur, and it's only week 1 of the WNba. After getting out-muscled and out-gamed by the Atlanta Dream only 2 days earlier, the Indiana Fever completely flipped the script, but this time it was at Dream's house in Atlanta. They outscored the Dream 46-20 in the paint and held Brittany Griner to only 5 points before getting fouled out. 48 hours after being bullied on their own hardwood, the Indiana Fever marched into Atlanta, flipped the season narrative on its head, and sent the Dream's home crowd home in stunned silence. How? That's the mystery we're about to unravel. 2 days earlier, Brittany Griner turned Gainbridge Fieldhouse into her personal playground, dropping bucket after bucket while Ryan Howard carved the Fever defense to ribbons. Social media wrote the Fever off as undersized pretenders. Yet behind those headlines, head coach Stephanie White and her roster weren't sulking. They were studying. They dissected every missed box out, every lazy closeout, every second Griner got deep position. They turned humiliation into homework and were determined to do so.
Hey, Steph. This question is for you. I just wanted to talk about what you saw out of your team that was different from Tuesday. Obviously, it's a quick turn, but how did you feel like your adjustments paid off on the court?
I felt like our defensive energy, physicality, disruptiveness was better. We made it more difficult for them, moving the ball around the perimeter. We executed better in our ball screen defense. Felt like we had each other's back a little bit more, and we played through breakdowns, and that's what it's going to take. It wasn't perfect, but we stayed together and we. But
that's not all, because when tip-off came in Atlanta, the Fever didn't just adjust, they detonated. They shackled Griner to foul out before she could get going, ripped the paint away like a rug, and proved they could win a street fight without a single Clark three-pointer.
There's one thing this Indiana Fever team has shown us they will do this year. It's not quit on the game. The Indiana Fever down early, come back, take the lead. Down late, come back, take the lead. The only difference between tonight's outcome and Tuesday's outcome is a letter.
If you think that's wild, wait until you hear what Clark whispered to Ryan Howard in the middle of a fourth quarter stare down that went instantly viral. Strap in, because this isn't a highlight reel. It's the story of how a young roster discovered its championship DNA in one ugly, glorious night.
The Indiana Fever leave the ATL with an 81-76 victory, and this game was pretty. Man, this game was pretty ugly.
And what happened next will make every team in the league think twice before poking a Fever that's already burning for revenge. But listen to this. 2 nights before their revenge tour, the Fever were stripped of a historical night for their star, Caitlin Clark.
Just her second season, and she's already set the all-time WNba career record with her 6th 25-point, 10-assist game. Caitlin Clark is the truth. She's the real deal, and she's not going anywhere.
But instead was buried under the 1-point loss. Atlanta's 91-90 theft wasn't a routine loss. It was a public dissection. Brittany Griner bullied the paint like she'd rented the lane by the hour, piling up 21 easy points while Ryan Howard splashed daggers from every angle, coolly adding 20 of her own. Indiana's front court looked like traffic cones, late to rotate, powerless to contest, and crushed on the glass by a Dream squad that seized 41 rebounds and bruised its way to 32 free throw attempts. Even the simplest details betrayed the Fever. 10 missed freebies, lazy closeouts, and endless second chances that turned a winnable game into a stinging lecture on physicality.
They shot 32 free throws. It's a lot of free throws. Going to be difficult to win a lot of games when we foul people that much and put them at the line that much. It's tough. They made 25 out of 32. We still went to the line 26 times, missed 10. So that's the game really right there.
Fans left Gainbridge Fieldhouse murmuring that maybe Caitlin Clark's star power isn't enough to win every game. Clark herself poured in 27 points, yet it felt hollow. Indiana's defense leaked everywhere, and the bench offered next to nothing. Coach Stephanie White didn't sugarcoat it afterward. "We don't match up well with them," she admitted, a statement that sounded like surrender to everyone except the people inside that locker room. Because here's what the box score can't show you: humiliation can be a catalyst. While social media roasted the Fever for soft defense and thin depth, the team quietly vowed to weaponize the pain. They walked out of that game with a checklist and a chip on each shoulder, one item for every missed rebound, every weak foul, every snide tweet questioning their toughness.
Yes, this stinks. We want to win this game. But, I think this is great great for her team. A little adversity. How are we going to respond? How are we going to come in here tomorrow morning and watch the film and learn and get on the court and get better? And like I said, that's why this league is so great. You have a couple days and then you get right back to it. You find a way to respond. You know, we have a chance to go there and play them, actually, so it's even better, I guess. We can, you know, get a little redemption if we go down there and play well.
And that's when 48 hours became the most valuable clock in the WNBA, because the next time Indiana saw Atlanta, the script wasn't just revised, it was ripped to shreds. 48 hours isn't long enough to change a playbook. Gone was the passive shell defense that let Brittany Griner camp beneath the rim. In its place, a swarming, positionless chaos that sent help from angles no scouting report could predict.
Tuesday, we couldn't seal the deal. We lost it at the free throw line. Tonight, we sealed the deal. Tonight, we took the lead late in the fourth after being down 75-71 with 3 minutes left. We take the lead and we don't look back.
Guards fronted Griner before the entry pass. Wings crashed from the weak side the instant she put the ball on the floor, and the moment she kicked it out, another defender was already darting into the passing lane. The Dream's 6'9" Titan, who'd scored at will 2 nights earlier, managed just 5 points before frustration, and a string of offensive fouls banished her to the bench for good. In the paint, the Fever flipped the script so violently it felt personal. 46 Indiana points to Atlanta's 20, a statistical body slam that erased every too small meme tweeted after the first game. Coach Stephanie White's fingerprints were everywhere. She weaponized her bench like a toolbox of matchup nightmares, yanking Dierika Dantas in and out to bang with Griner, then swapping to quicker forwards to trap pick and rolls and ignite. Transition. On one possession, you'd see a classic 2-3 zone. On the next, a junk triangle and 2 that sent Atlanta's shooters into paralysis.
What a win for the Indiana Fever against the Atlanta Dream. Good teams win ugly. And that was what was most impressive to me about the Fever's performance against the Dream.
The Dream, rattled by the whiplash, shot just 36% and coughed up 15 turnovers, each one greeted by Clark's gleeful chest slap and a roar from the Fever bench that echoed through State Farm Arena. Yet the most jarring change wasn't tactical, it was psychological. Every hard foul Atlanta had delivered in Indianapolis was paid back in kind, and then some. By halftime, the Dream's body language had wilted. Indiana's, meanwhile, were fired up. The Fever weren't just evening the series, they were stealing Atlanta's confidence inch by inch, rebound by rebound. But if you think outmuscling a 2-time Olympic center is impressive, wait until you see what happened when Caitlin Clark, yes, Clark, couldn't buy a bucket yet, still orchestrated the heist of the season.
But getting in foul trouble early, I think, messed up her rhythm, and she didn't really have her legs, because it certainly was one of the worst performances of Clark's career. From a production standpoint offensively. First time in her career she didn't hit a 3, so nothing to write home about from Cece. But that's okay, right? Even when, that's happening, game's on the line, she's got the basketball. She's got the basketball, manipulates the defense, gets it to AB, who puts it away.
Picture this. The league's most electric scorer launches 5 3-pointers and bricks every single one. Caitlin Clark's stroke, usually a metronome from 30 feet, vanished in Atlanta's humid air. By the second quarter, she'd racked up 3 quick fouls. A fourth arrived early in the third, and every camera in State Farm Arena zoomed in on her frustrated grin, part bemusement, part self-mockery. When her jumper refused to cooperate, she weaponized her gravity. 2 defenders chased her on every flare screen, leaving driving lanes wide enough for semi-trucks, and the Fever's cutters feasted. Midway through the fourth, with 5 fouls hanging over her like a storm cloud, Clark orchestrated the possession that broke Atlanta's back. She dribbled into a soft double, pulled the help toward midcourt, then whipped a no-look bullet to Aaliyah Boston, gliding baseline for an uncontested lay-in.
Did not win against the Fever one game last season, and the last game of the season was an overtime one where she dropped 36 points.
The bench erupted, not because of the pass, Clark does that twice a night, but because it punctured the Dream's final defensive gamble. Even scoreless from deep, she'd seize the game's tempo, string pulling every rotation until Atlanta's legs turned to sawdust. And here's the wildest part. Indiana outscored the Dream by 12 in the minutes Clark was on the floor. Despite her 11-point total, leadership isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a controlled burn that forces everyone else to flare brighter.
Shout out to Natasha Howard, I will say. You didn't have a good game last game. You bounced back today. If I'm the Atlanta Dream coach, I'm going into tonight with a game plan Folks, make Natasha Howard beat us. Don't let Caitlin Clark beat us. Don't let Kelsey Mitchell beat us. Don't let Aaliyah Boston beat us. Make Natasha Howard beat us. And Natasha Howard, she took on that challenge and she came through. Let's just think back a year ago. Who's that going to be? Katie Lou? Nope. Erica Wheeler? Nope. Nalissa Smith, you make me laugh.
But that's not all, because the moment Natasha Howard caught fire, the entire arena felt the temperature spike. Atlanta's scouting report was simple: wall off Caitlin Clark and force anyone else to keep the Fever afloat. The Dream picked the wrong target. From the opening whistle, Natasha Howard played like a woman insulted by her own box score from 2 nights earlier.
Finds the hands of Natasha Howard, whips that one in. Add that to the circus reel.
The message spread fast. Indiana's guards fed her every trip, and Howard feasted, pump-faking Griner off her feet, pirouetting through traffic, and kissing soft kiss shots off the glass until the scoreboard begged for mercy. The third quarter became her personal clinic. By the time the smoke cleared, Howard's line read 26 points on 12 of 17 shooting, 7 rebounds, and a defiant +14 plus-minus. Every bucket felt like payback for the jeers she took after her quiet. Showing in Indy, every rebound snatched a little more oxygen from Atlanta's lungs. Yet her outburst did more than shift the scoreboard. It rewired the Fever's identity on the fly. When Clark drew her 5th foul and the arena buzzed with anticipation of collapse, Howard steadied the ship, calling huddles, pointing out rotations, flat out leading.
That's why we at least go out and get somebody like a Natasha Howard that when Caitlin Clark, Kelsey, and AB aren't hitting, when Caitlin Clark, Kelsey, and AB are getting hoed with fouls, there's somebody there that's competent offensively that can keep us in the game. And Natasha Howard, you did just that. 26 points, 7 rebounds. Way to go, Natasha Howard.
You could see the confidence ripple down the bench. Suddenly, Aaliyah Boston attacked mismatches. Kelsey Mitchell slithered into mid-range pull-ups, and Atlanta's once airtight defense sprang leaks everywhere. Howard had burst the dam, and the flood was coming. But that's not the whole story, because the true turning point arrived the moment 2 spark plug reserves checked in and detonated an 11-0 run.
Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull are the real deal. That's what it does look like. It looks like these two off the bench, you can name whoever you want. These two ladies off the bench are going to be the most impactful duo in the WNBA, hands down. Hands down, these two are going to be the most impactful duo in the WNBA off the bench. They bring the energy, they bring the heat, they're able to score, they play defense.
Just when Atlanta began scrambling for an answer to Natasha Howard, Stephanie White flipped to a wild card. Sophie Cunningham, fresh off a tender ankle, and Lexi Hull, the Swiss Army knife nobody had circled on the scouting sheet. Cunningham's very first touch, a fearless corner 3 that ripped the net and detonated an 11-0 surge so violent the Dream had to burn a timeout before the paint dust even settled. Next possession, she bullied through contact for a putback, slapped the hardwood on defense, and drew a charge that left State Farm Arena gasping. Momentum changed uniforms right there.
Ryan Howard said, "I ain't done yet." She remembers that sweep from last season as Lexi Hull buries one.
Lexi Hull matched that ferocity with surgical precision, zip cutting into open lanes, threading 4 slick assists, a career best, and bearing a clutch elbow jumper that shoved Indiana's lead into double digits. Together, the duo outscored Atlanta's entire bench 19-3, flipped the rebounding battle on its head, and breathed jet fuel into a Fever second unit that critics once labeled paper thin.
To shoot that ball, she's 50% in this game from 3, but she can knock it down.
Every bench bucket felt like a dagger, and every defensive stop was greeted by Caitlin Clark's fist pumping from the sideline, a reminder that superstars rest easy when the cavalry is this ruthless. But that's not all, because once the subs proved Indiana could score at will, the Fever set their sights on Atlanta's towering safety net and tore it away brick by brick. Remember Brittany Griner's 21-point feast in Indianapolis? Indiana sure did, and they turned that film into a blueprint for chaos. From the first post touch, the Fever sent double teams that looked almost reckless. A guard darting low, a weak side, wing lunging high, then a late third body swallowing passing angles like quicksand.
And then, like I said, some of the new players. I think Natasha Howard was excellent in this game. She was excellent in this game. And there were some, connections between her and Clark. Then there was Sophie Cunningham, who was also back for the first time, who's just an excellent all-around basketball player. And you could see it here. Clark with the get-ahead to Cunningham and the finish. I mean, Cece's just such a gifted passer.
Meanwhile, Indiana pounded home 46 interior points, ran the glass 41-37, and forced 15 turnovers that flipped straight into transition layups. By the time the horn sounded, the Dream weren't just beaten, they were bewildered, staring at static sheets that proved a squad they'd bullied 48 hours earlier had learned every lesson and weaponized it against them. And if you thought shutting down a Hall of Famer was the climax, wait until you see the viral face-off that crystallized Indiana's new identity and sent social media into meltdown.
Got Caitlin Clark taking it back, and you can see the hold there. Then Ryan Howard doesn't like that. And there's some words between the two players.
Cue the fourth quarter scrum, bodies tangled near mid-court, whistles chirping like angry birds. Ryan Howard, Atlanta's 6-foot swagger factory, steps into Caitlin Clark's personal space and bumps her chest like it's Game 7. Cameras zoom. Mike strain, and Clark, 5 fouls deep, jumper ice cold, leans in just far enough for every lip reader on the internet to catch it. I'm not scared of you.
Chippiness at half court between Ryan Howard and Caitlin Clark.
And last game.
No shout, no flinch, just a low growl dripping with intent. Howard fires back. Clark answers with a sarcastic thumbs up, then jogs to the free throw line as if she'd merely ordered coffee. The exchange ignites the arena. Atlanta's crowd howls. Indiana's bench explodes, and suddenly every Fever player is contesting harder, cutting sharper, talking louder. Natasha Howard claps in rhythm with the shot clock. Sophie Cunningham slaps the floor on defense, and Lexi Hull picks a pocket that sends Clark racing the other way for a transition dime.
Look, Ryan Howard was up in her grill all game, and there's the bump, there's the physical challenge there, and some words for Clark. But if you could see, Clark has some words back, and those words, if you lip read appropriately, or it seems like from the lip readers out there, were, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not scared of you. I'm sorry.
That tiny "I'm not scared" moment becomes the emotional accelerant the Fever didn't even know they needed. A public declaration that intimidation, size, history, hostile crowds no longer applies. And just like that, with adrenaline spiking and Griner already banished, Indiana slammed the door on doubt and kicked open a brand new narrative. When the final horn echoed through State Farm Arena, the score read 81-76 Fever, but the numbers told a deeper story. Clark 0 for 5 behind the arc, yet plus 12 in impact minutes, 4 teammates in double figures, bench points 33-17, paint dominance 46-20. Griner neutralized, Howard ascendant, depth confirmed. That is the recipe contenders cook with when their superstar shot deserts her.
I'm not scared of you. With that, and that's competing. That's good basketball. That's fine. Howard wanted the challenge. I loved it. I love that. You just can't let, people play Clark like they're bumping her at the line of scrimmage and not call a foul. You got to call those fouls. Get them in foul trouble.
Stephanie White's post-game grin said what the stat sheet couldn't. Her roster had graduated. They'd shown they could take a gut punch, dissect it, and come back with a counterpunch that left the bully blinking. They'd proved that foul, trouble, cold shooting, and road noise are speed bumps, not roadblocks, when 11 players believe the we matters more than the me. Most of all, they flashed the one ingredient you can't buy in free agency: collective swagger.
We have a team that we can go 11 deep. We talk a lot about some days it's going to be your day, some day it's not, right? We have to choose the we over the me, and we have to stay ready, so we don't have to get ready. Every single person that impacted this game in a positive way, and I'm really proud of them.
So what does this mean for 2025? It means every scouting report on Indiana just burst into flames. Opponents can't overload on Clark without risking a Natasha Howard detonation, can't sag off the bench without Sophie and Lexi torching them, and can't pound the paint without Indiana's chaos defense turning giants into spectators. The Fever didn't just steal a win, they planted a flag that says, "Championship window officially open." If you felt the Fever tonight, smash that like button until it glows. Pound fired up for the Fever in the comments to let the squad know you're riding shotgun, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss the next chapter about this surging dynasty in the making. The league's on notice. Don't get left behind. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.